Oh, wait, wait. Ah, I think I might be there. Oh, wait, wait. Aha, okay. Look, that's me a few minutes ago. Whoa. Inception. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is crazy. Now it's going to be me pointing to me a few minutes ago. Should switch to the other camera for a second. Okay, I'm over here. I'm live. I don't know if anyone's watching. Yep. Can you hear me? Working now live on YouTube. Okay, just posting this to Twitter. Okay. Boy, I'm on a delay. So you're like seeing me way after me talking. Oops, I left. Okay, oops. Okay, I'm closing this. So I don't know, how can I see if there's anybody here watching? Okay, yes, you can hear me. That's great. Okay, so I'm here. I don't know if anybody's watching. I'm going to record some videos. I'm going to minimize this. Boy, it's quite a delay. I definitely need to minimize the latency thing. And on my list, I've been making videos. Hold on. Over here. I've been making videos. I have a list over here. And then the video that I intend to make right now is on the map function. This thing that you're watching, if you're watching, is like the raw footage. So I can make mistakes, trip, slobber, do weird things by accident. I've got a button here so I can switch over here. Now I'm in front of the code editor. So what I'm doing is I'm getting ready. So this is the example that I think I'm going to make the video using. And what I'm going to show is how to use the map function to have the background color change as the mouse moves left to right. This is a particularly useful thing to do in programming graphics thingies. So I'm going to drink a little water. And I don't have the YouTube chat view up right now. I could pull it up, which will look weird because you're going to see me looking at it. Watching now stats, 5 watching now. Wow, 5 whole people. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check the comments here and there if people have feedback and that sort of thing. Okay, look at this crazy like triple view thing. Okay, so I'm going to minimize that. And I've got this again. And I'm about to start recording the actual thing. Let's see if this works. Okay, I'm like lost on my phone. I was doing this on Periscope yesterday, which was kind of useful, but I couldn't stream the actual full feed. So I'm going to stream the actual full feed now. Okay, here we go. The map function. That's what this video is going to be about. Okay, and 3, 2, 1, recording. Hi, in this video I would like to look at something in p5.js called map. This is a function that is incredibly useful, and it's just a nice moment now. If you're watching these videos in sequence, which you don't need to be because this video is really only about the map function, but if you're watching them in sequence, it's sort of a nice moment. Just figured out some stuff about variables. I've got things stored in variables that are numbers, and sometimes it's incredibly common that you have a number that comes in a given range the exact scenario that I'm going to use here. Oh, you know, I forgot to turn the air conditioning down, which really messes with the sound. So, sorry, just you know, there's life going on. You think I'm making a video and nothing's ever going to go wrong, but life happens, and this video is just always going to have this weird moment where I turn the air conditioning off. You know what? I'm just going to start over. It doesn't need to have that. Okay, so I'm going to start over. I'm going to erase this, and I'm coming back over here, and I'm going to hit stop. I'm going to see, now that I'm taking a little pause here, I'm going to check YouTube, and there are 3 people watching, so my retention is really good. It was up to 5, and now down to 3. So basically, I'm talking to myself, except for the people who might actually be watching. Okay, so now I am going to start over. The thing is, there's so much of a delay here. By the time you see this, I'm actually going to have already started the video, and I would like to see if people have comments, you know, as I stop and start. So there's a setting in the YouTube stream where it like optimized for low latency, which is clearly something I'm going to have to do the next time I turn this on. Okay, now I need to start over. Hi, so this video is about something in p5.js, and that something is the map function. So a couple things. One is, if you've been watching these videos in sequence, which you don't necessarily need to have been doing, because this video is just about one singular thing, but this is kind of a good time, just learned about variables, got a whole lot of numbers floating around your code to kind of get that stuff under control and figure out kind of a useful thing, a very common scenario that comes up. So the map function is going to solve a particular problem that I'm going to demonstrate in a moment. But before I even get to that, what am I even talking about? The map function? What this, that, the other? Shoot, start this video over again. Okay, I think I got what I'm doing now. Okay. Hi, so this video that I'm making is about a function in p5.js called map. So there's a very common scenario that comes up over and over and over again in programming graphics, programming interaction, working with data. There's so many places that this scenario comes up, and so this particular function map is a nice resolution to this problem. And let me give you a simple version of this problem. So let's say we have a canvas, and the canvas has a background color. And what you want is for that background color to sometimes be black and sometimes be white. So when it's black, the color that you should put in the background function is 0. When it is white, the color you should put in the background function is 255. So we can say together the range for the background function that I want in this particular program is a number between 0 and 255. So really a variable might go here, like call it COL, and COL should have a range between 0 and 255. Now, how do I want that value to be chosen? When should it be black and when should it be white? What I would like is when the mouse pointer is at this side of the screen, I want the background to be black, and when the mouse pointer is at this side of the screen, I want the background to be white. So I would like to create a scenario where I move the mouse left and right, and I see the background shift from black all the way to white, down to gray, darker gray, down to black, etc., etc. So this is what we want to program. Now let's say this canvas has dimensions of 600 by 400. So mouse x is a variable. If you've been watching these videos in sequence, which you don't need to have been to watch this particular video, mouse x is a sort of recent new phenomenon that I just talked about in a previous video. So if these are the dimensions of the canvas, we know that mouse x has a range that goes between 0 and 600. So we now want the background color to have a range, I lost my train of thought there. Well, the mouse has a range between 0 and 600, and the background color we want to have a range between 0 and 255. So we need to take this value with this range, and what do we want to do? Map it to this range. When mouse x equals 0, background color equals 0. When mouse x equals 600, background color equals 255. Let's kind of like start doing that a little bit for a moment without the map function at all. Okay, so here's the program. I'm going to actually simplify this for a second. Var color equals 0. I'm going to say background color, and you can see this. So we can see here I'm running this program. This ellipse is being drawn where the mouse is, so we can see, and the background is being colored according to that variable. But the background color is not changing because I set it equal to 0, and I never changed it. So now I could try to do some math. Like I could just say color equals mouse x. Like why not? That's pretty good. Whatever the value of mouse x is, set the background color to that. So let's see what happens. I'm going to run this. Look, it's working, it's changing, but it's already white. Why? Because as soon as I get to pixel 255, that's the full whiteness. So I'm not getting this perfect mapping. It's kind of like working, but it's not exactly right. So I could be approximate. I could say, okay, well, the canvas is 600 pixels wide. Why don't I divide by 2? That's pretty good. 600, whatever the mouse x is divided by 2, that's getting me pretty close. It actually kind of looks like it's working, and that's, we kind of solved the problem. But here's the thing. This problem that we have just sort of barely solved over there, this is a very simplistic view of it. But there's lots of times where you have a sensor, like data coming in from some sensor, and the range is between 321 and 1057. And then you want to map that range to some other set of values, and actually that other set of values has a range between 20 and 35. And the math is a little bit trickier. Or perhaps you want to take a value that goes between 0 and 200 and invert that and map that between 200 down to 0. So there's lots of more complex scenarios. The map function is a general function that will take any range and map a value inside that range to a new value in any other range. So let's take a look at how that works in this context. So first of all, what do I mean by function? So already hopefully you know about calling functions in P5. Right? You might have done this. Line is a function that takes 4 arguments. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what does it do? It draws a line from point 100, 100 to 50, 50, done. So map, it's the same thing. It's a function that takes some amount of arguments. It's actually going to be 5 arguments. Ooh, I better give myself more room here. So I can see that you're not going to be able to see this. Okay, map. It takes 5 arguments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see all those? Yes. Okay, so this seems like, oh boy, 5 arguments, that's terrifying, but it's not so bad. So remember, I have a range that goes between 0 and 600. This is the range we know that mouse x is, and I want to map this range to a range between 0 and 255. Which is what I want to assign to my variable color. So the arguments that map requires are the following. What is the minimum and maximum of my current range, 0 to 600? What is the minimum and maximum of my new range, 0 to 255? And what is the value that has this range and which I want to map to the new range? Well, in this case, it's mouse x. So I want to map mouse x, which I know has this range, that's the x values, and I want to map it to this range between 0 and 255 for the purpose of color. And then when I map it, what do I do with it? I want to take the result of that mapping and set it equal, assign the result to my variable color. So this is what's actually something quite new about this map function. The line function doesn't do it performs a task. Line, It draws a line in the canvas. Well, whatever, the computer draws a line on the canvas. The map function actually performs a calculation and answers a question. It resolves to a single number, so I can use that number and assign it back to this variable. Okay, so this is kind of a new concept. Let's go try to do it in this program. Instead of my goofy math here, mouse x divided by 2, what I want to do now is use that map function. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to say map mouse x, which has a range between 0 and 600. Oops, I guess I better zoom back out. And give me a new value within a new range between 0 and 255. So here, mouse x between 0 and 600, give me a range between 0 and 255, and assign that to this variable color, which I'm then going to use in background. And watch this. We can see all the way perfectly white at pixel 600, perfectly black at pixel 0. Let's have a little more fun with this. Fun is all relative, of course. Let's give ourselves 2 more variables. So I'm going to make a variable R and B, R for red, B for blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the red value equal to that mapping. So you can see now, right, blue is at 255, red is at 0, and red, R, is getting that mapping with mouse X. So as I move to the right, I get more pink and purple, all the way back more blue. And here's something interesting I can do with map. Let's also map the blue value. But instead of saying when the mouse is at 0, the blue is at 0, and the mouse is at 600, the blue is at 255, let's do the reverse. Let's say when the mouse is at 0, we have 255 blue, and when the mouse is all the way on the other side, we have 0 blue. So we can also invert that range, which is great. That map will do that for us. And all the way, we can see I give all the way red, all the way blue, and in the middle, I've got red and blue together. So, and also, by the way, if you're thinking of, so you might take this exercise, maybe add mouse Y to it, try to map mouse Y. There's all sorts of possible things you can do with this. So hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense of the map function, and that you found that useful, possibly. Okay, I'm going to stop this. Oops. Okay, I'm still live streaming to YouTube. Let's see if anybody's there. 14 people. Okay. So I'm waiting till the stream catches up to where I am in real time. I'm going to drink some water. And then perhaps anybody have some comments? If this is useful. I guess what I'm going to do in the next video, I'm going to record something about the random function. See, this is the thing. In between when I record, I like to, I don't know, act silly, I guess, but this is now, I don't know, recorded for posterity. Hey, I don't know, I know you from GitHub. Ianika, I don't know how to pronounce your name, I'm embarrassed. So maybe you could type in the chat a phonetic version. Joshua Davis, hello. Both XP, it's nice to have some people watching. This is really terrible though that the chat is way behind where I am in real time. Again, I'm gonna have to fix that. I know I'm just keep repeating myself. So did anyone have any comments about that? Video, questions? Yeah, it's totally Inception here. Because I'm going to record, I'm going to record a new one about random. Stop random, I don't know what that means. Johnny in English. Okay, thank you, Johnny. Okay, so I think I'm just going to get started because this isn't really working as live interaction, which is unfortunate. I guess I could quit the stream and reset the settings to try to get it more in sync. But I think I'm going to record more this afternoon, and so I'll start another live stream. Oh, look, I can create the wave thing, except it's very severely delayed. Hello in there. Hello. You're okay. It's okay. Everything's going to be okay. Don't worry. You're going to make these videos and you won't go totally insane being in a room by yourself, talking to yourself on YouTube or something. All right. Great. Okay. So I was trying to finish these up before noon. So I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay. Okay, so I got to minimize this. Look at my Twitter. You guys can now see that too. Okay, and I minimize that. Random. Okay, so what do I want to do with random? I don't know yet. We will just have to figure it out. You know what? I'm going to do this. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll figure it out. Okay. I'm going to drink a little of this coffee. I'm going to do a couple jumping jacks. Some of these. And then I'm going to get ready to press record. And make sure this video, I should erase this. Oh, I know what I need to do. I had a painting program. You know, I haven't been good at saving these. Let's see what this is. Oh, this might actually be it. Perfect. Okay, so we'll do random with this. I think could work. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I forgot. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to switch the camera. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And now, record. Start over. Okay. So if you've just started learning programming, you're using p5.js, you're living in the world, typing, you're thinking about colors, I got to start over, I don't know what I'm talking about. So you've come to this point where you've got some basics down, you've got a canvas, you're drawing some stuff, you've got colors. Hopefully you also went outside, enjoyed some sunshine at some point, and now you're ready for something a little bit more. So a good thing, I think, to sort of start playing around with when you're working with graphics and interaction and just trying to make things move and happen on the screen, really what you need is conditional logic, and that's going to be the topic of my next video. But before I get to that, something that will let you sprinkle on a little more excitement onto your P5 sketches is the function random. You know. So what does random do for you? Random will give you a random number. So up until now, most of the examples have done things like, here's a color, 255, 30, 60. And in a lot of cases, it's nice to pick from a particular color palette for whatever reason, but perhaps you want a random color, or you want to put a whole lot of circles randomly on the screen. Or if you think about the painting program that I started with in a couple videos ago, maybe every time you click the mouse, you're painting with a new random color. Every time you press a key and the background erases, you get a new random background. So, the camera turned off. That's good, because I hated what I was doing anyway. So I got to start over, which is just fine. Just fine by me. Hit stop. The live stream has all of this in it. This is quite ridiculous, but it works. Okay. Okay, let's start over. I'm going to drink some water. And press record. If I press record, I'll start recording. Okay, so this is the last video I'm making in this sort of little section about variables. And you're limited in what you can do so far if you've been playing around. We had that map function if you watched the previous video, which was kind of an exciting moment. Now I'm going to make something, to be honest, we've just got a screen with some colors and shapes on it. And eventually your creative energy will shine through. What am I talking about? This video is going to happen, I swear. So here we are. This is the last video in this little section about variables in p5.js. And before I go, I'm not going anywhere because all I do is stay in this room and make videos. Before I go on to the next topic, which is conditional logic, which will really unlock a lot of creative possibilities for you, I want to give you one last tool that'll hopefully make things a little bit more exciting in your life. And that is the random function. So the random function. So you and me, together, have been doing a lot of stuff like this. Var x equals 50. This is well and good, and because x is a variable and 50 is a perfectly fine number, and I'm happy with my rectangle at pixel 50, but there might be a time where you want... The whole point of doing this programming thing is to have systems of logic, rules to generate behaviors and graphics and designs. It's not really about like, let me pick my 5 favorite numbers and set those variables to those numbers. So there's a lot more to it, but a first step in that direction is we could at least say, here's the rule. Whenever my program runs, the circle will appear at a random x location. So instead of saying var x equals 50, I could say something like var x equals random. And random is a function just like any other function. Line, ellipse, fill, stroke, it requires some arguments to define how that function will behave. And random, if you watch the previous video, is just like the map function. And if you recall, or if you didn't watch it, the difference is when you say line, a line is drawn on the screen. The line function performs the task. When you say random, a task is performed picking a random number, but that function resolves to, it evaluates to that number, and you can take that number, what it resolves to, and assign it back to something, a variable value in this case. So if I say 0, 50, I'm kind of at the edge, there's a semicolon there, the parameters, the arguments that random takes are a minimum and a maximum. And random will give you a number in between 0 and 50. One thing that's important here to realize, which is a small little distinction, is that here are some numbers you might get: 2, 21, 70, well, you won't get 73, that's above 50, 42. But I will mention you probably won't ever get these. I mean, you could get these numbers. You're more likely going to get numbers like this. Right? It's giving you actually what is sometimes referred to as floating point numbers or decimal numbers. So in this case, it doesn't really matter. P5 can handle that. If you get the number 50.34567, it knows to just draw something at pixel 50. But there's other cases where we might need to do a little something more with that. I probably shouldn't have even mentioned this because it's like a little unnecessary point of confusion, but I've already restarted this video like 5 times, so I'm going for it. Okay, so let's actually start messing around with this and see what happens. Okay, so I have a sketch here. Actually, I'm going to start a new one. No. I'm going to say File, New Project, and I'm going to call this Dots. And what I would like to do is have some variables. And I'm going to use objects since we learned about, because I covered those in a previous video. So I have a point, and I'm also going to have a color. Let's see how I'm doing here with my having just learned JavaScript syntax. So you can see I'm setting up a couple variables. I want to have a point that has an X and a, my finger disappeared. A point that has an X and a Y. I want to have a color with an R, a G, and a B, because my plan for all this is first in setup, obviously, to create a canvas. Let's make it a nice small size. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a background. I'm going to set it in setup because I'm going to this background's just going to happen once. And then an ellipse, I'm going to draw the ellipse at point X, comma point Y. It's going to be a small ellipse. And I'm going to fill it at color.R, color.G, color.B. So I can zoom back out here, and we can see we should be able to run this sketch now. Hit run. Ooh, okay, problem with scope. What happened? Look at this, interesting. ellipse is receiving an empty variable in spot number 1, 2, if this is not intentional, color.r, color.b, I could put some semicolons here. What did I miss? RGB. Help! Help! Look at this. What am I doing here? Oh, ellipse. No, it's ellipse that's got, oh, look, some crazy stuff has happened here. Some horrible stuff. This video is a disaster. I'm going to fix it. I might cut this out if I remember to. Point, comma, x, 100, y is 50. Point x, point y, ellipse. All right, let's do some things. First, when we have these kind of problems, this is a useful point. Let's just comment out the offending lines of code. Hit save and hit run. Okay, no errors anymore. Let's comment back in fill. We can figure out what's going on. Still no errors. Let's draw an ellipse the old-fashioned way. And let's see if this works. Okay, that seems good. Now, what's wrong with my point x and point y? Let's try this, just point comma x. Let's run it again. Empty variable in spot 1. You know, I wonder if point, let's call it spot. I wonder if there's something wrong with using point. Yeah, huh. That was interesting. I'm going to have to look into that. So I don't know if point must be some key word that's doing, oh, I've done something horrible. Boy, wow, this is great. This is great. Okay, I know what's happened. I know what's happened. This is great. Okay, so here's the thing. What did I just do? Let's think of some functions in P5. I know I'm off on like this horrible tangent now for another 5 minutes, but some functions in P5 are like line, rectangle for drawing a rectangle, ellipse for drawing an ellipse. What if you want to draw a point on the screen, huh? Well, what's the name of that function again? Point. So point is like a kind of an important thing in P5 that's meant for something highly specific, drawing a point. So if I try to make up a variable called point, I've completely overridden the existing point function. And you know what? I didn't actually override it because P5 then overrode my variable because things are happening in weird orders and strange ways. So that didn't work. It was trying to like use the point function as the place to draw the point, and everything exploded and I got a weird error message. So that might be something that P5 could handle with a friendly error message, and maybe after this video is over, someone will file a GitHub issue. Maybe that person will be me. But let's go back, and we solved it. But hopefully you saw this, the steps of debugging, of like everything was like exploding and going wrong, and just if you take a deep breath, calm down, comment some stuff out, start putting it back in slowly, see where things go wrong, we've gotten a bit further. But now we're back. I'm back. This video is still only at 8 minutes, which is totally reasonable. And I'm going to go back and change this to spot. I'm going to say spot x, spot comma y. And I'm going to run it. And we can see, there we go. I have the circle, and I'm going to move this over here, being drawn. Excuse me, I'm like, want this to give me a little more space. I have the circle being drawn at 100, 50, where the spot is with this particular color. So what happens if we start to add some randomness here? So one thing I could do, first, remember, draw looping over and over and over again. So what if I just say spot x equals random between 0 and 600? This is another thing that's worth mentioning. I have a random spot anywhere between 0 and the width of that canvas. The width of that canvas is 600, so I could write the number 600 there. There does happen to be a built-in variable in P5 that knows just dynamically what the width of the window is. And this is useful to use because if I use that variable width here, instead of typing 600, if I later change the size and create canvas, I don't have to change it elsewhere in my code. So I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to say spot.y is random 0 to height. So now let's run this program. And look, I just get spots all over the place, spots, 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 all with a nice red color. But perhaps what I want is to say color.r equals random between like, I'm gonna 100 and 255. Color.g is always 0. Color.b is random between 100 and 190. I'm just picking like random arbitrary ranges here. And now we might see, look, I've got a nice variation of random purplish, pinkish dots. And I could even say add a little bit of alpha here and run this again. And you can see I have a nice little like pointillist. And you can, actually, one thing you're noticing here, if you look really close, is there's little black outlines because I didn't turn off the stroke. So what I'm going to do now is say no stroke and stop and start. And there it is. Look at this beautiful, all these nice little dots, layering, this nice little pointillist thing. So you could take this much farther. You could make random sizes. You could map the random ranges based on like where, like if the dots appear on the left, they're more greenish. If they're on the right, they're more bluish. So there's so much you could do. Try to see, maybe try to create a random painting here. You could use other shapes besides just circles, that sort of thing. That's what I say is an exercise you could try. I also might return to this particular program. If you remember this, we worked on just a little bit of a painting program where you move the mouse around, and as you move the mouse around, you paint something. And so what if you could, right now, every time you click the mouse, it erases the background. What if you could, every time you click the mouse, you get a random background color, or as you move the mouse, the color changes randomly. So there's lots of interesting possibilities there. You can make this painting program a bit more sophisticated. Okay, so that is the end of this video. And I think this wraps up my section of videos on variables. And I'm going to keep that weird little thing that happened that I think was a good moment for today. Okay, see you later. Now I'm going to go back to YouTube. How do I get back to YouTube? Here I am. I think YouTube is recording it, so it will be saved. Also, I am recording the I am separately recording the finished videos. Anybody have any feedback on that? All you 14 people watching. Boy, I mean, not that I expect there to be more. So I guess I'm going to take I'm kind of got some momentum here. I think I'm going to though. I feel like this finishes up this section. I'm going to stop this broadcast. But I have this idea of recording some videos about Git and GitHub, which I might do at some point today, but I need to work on uploading all this stuff. So I'm going to stop this session, say goodbye to you lovely 14 people who are watching. Thank you very much. And I don't know, that's it. And then I'll come back later today probably. I'm kind of addicted to making these videos. I have to answer some emails and some other stuff. Anybody have any other comments they want to add? Except you won't hear me say this for 30 seconds. I'm waiting 30 seconds. See if anybody has any last comments. I want to see how far behind I am, because if I clap, how long till I clap? 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 1,000, 10, 1,000, 11, 1,000, 12, 1,000, 13, 1,000, 14, 1,000, 16, 1,000, 18, 1,000, 19, 1,000, 21,000. I missed my clapping. I totally know. I do have a video on Perlin noise. Let me find it. Perlin noise video Schiffman. I have a bunch of them. They're on Vimeo. They're also on YouTube if you care. Here's the YouTube one. So I will paste it here. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'm gonna always now that this works, I'm gonna always stream these recording sessions. As long as people can stomach watching, although I guess you don't have to, obviously. And then I'll always just post to Twitter, I guess, when I'm doing that. Okay, I gotta turn this off. Stream is ending. Signing off. Thank you.